Okay, so first of all, watch this. Pretty cool, right? So what we have here is the SYMM 2 from PWNAGE. This is a lightweight gaming mouse with some pretty crazy customization features, one of which you just seen in the intro. It's definitely on the smaller side of mice, most comparable to the Razer Viper Mini, but this one's wireless. Of course, we'll get into all of that in just a minute, but first of all, let's see what we get inside the box. So obviously, first of all, we get the mouse in the box, and underneath that back cover, we get the storage place for the wireless receiver, which is pretty cool. Using that customization feature as a storage place for the wireless receiver for if you move around with this mouse quite often. I went for the honeycomb version of this mouse, so I also got a solid shell also in the box. And I'm guessing it works the other way around too, so if you go for the solid shell version, you'll also get a honeycomb shell. We get a lightweight USB-C cable to charge the mouse, and an extender for the wireless receiver. We also get some button spaces to change the feel of the clicks on the mouse, so we'll get into that in just a minute. So probably the main thing that draws people to this mouse is that customization feature, the ability to swap out all of those shells for different coloured shells or different type of weighted shells. Included in each box of the shells, we get a solid shell, we get a honeycomb shell, and we get those front button shells. So you get the whole set included in the box, so that's nice, you don't need to choose between solid or honeycomb. The colours on these different shells are great. Right now, for me, I'm feeling this mostly black with teal on those front buttons. That's a bit of me right now. But the cool thing is I can swap that out to be whatever, whenever I want. The difference in weight between the honeycomb shell and the solid shell is about 3 to 4 grams. So it is noticeable, slightly, but it's not a massive difference. And there is also the option to take the battery out of the mouse, so you can just unplug it and pull the battery out. It's a little bit tricky to do, and personally I don't plan on doing it, but the option's there for in the future if I do want to do it. And that should save you quite a bit of weight because the battery in this is quite big, so the weight reduction from that should be quite noticeable. For me though, with a 2-hour charge time and that extra little bit of weight, I'd rather keep the battery in and just go wireless with it. It is a little bit heavier than the Viper Mini, so if you want a super small and lightweight mouse, you're probably better going with the Viper Mini. On the bottom, we've also got nice big PTFE feet. These cover up most of the bottom of the mouse, so I can't really complain about that. On the bottom, we also get the on-off switch, and you can also switch between an office mode and a gaming mode. With the office mode, you'll have no RGB, but you'll also get 180 hours of battery. In the gaming mode, you get RGB, and it's about 80 hours of battery life. So that's quite a big battery compared to some of the other mice out there, but it definitely does add a little bit of weight onto the mouse. Something else that I did want to mention was those button spaces that we got included in the box. So you're able to change the feel of your click. You can have a softer click or you can have a more tactile click, depending on what you feel like. We have Kale 8.0 switches on this, which is great. They're some of the newer ones out on the market right now. But to be honest, when I did add those button spaces, the difference was definitely there. I could feel it, but the difference wasn't massive, if you know what I mean. It's hard to explain. You could kind of feel it if you really think about it, but just in general use, you couldn't really notice it. But you might be a little bit different. You might be able to tell the difference between a 0.1 of a millimeter. But for me, it just wasn't there. So this is a solid mouse and it feels great. The switches on it are also fantastic. Even the buttons on the left side of the mouse are in a great place. There was no accidental button presses when I've been gaming or doing anything like that. So they're in a great place and they're nice and tactile to press as well. So here's a little sound test of the switches on this SYMM 2. So because of the size and the shape of this mouse, a claw grip is probably the most preferred to use with this size of type of mouse. It's definitely possible to use other types of grip like fingertip or palm grip, especially if you've got bigger hands. This mouse might be a little bit funky to use, especially if you use a palm type of grip, but I would say you're probably able to use any type of grip you like with this mouse, especially if you've got smaller or medium-sized hands. So we do actually have a software dedicated for this mouse, which I'll link in the description down below. And the software is great. It's nice and simple, and there's loads of customization you can do to the mouse. You can change the lift-off distance, the DPI, and also the pollen rate. There's also things like macros in there, and of course you can change the RGB lighting on your mouse. So one other thing that I did want to mention was, on the website, on PWNAGE's website, there's a load of customization things that you can buy for this mouse, shells and grips. And one thing that I would maybe suggest is picking up some of the grips for the side of the mouse. The side of the mouse seems to be made out of a different type of material to those top shells, and it feels a little bit slippery. It's hard to explain it. It feels a little bit like slippery, and if you don't like that, then you might want to pick up some grips for the side of your mouse. So that's the SYMM 2. Customization for days, lightweight but still heavier than some of the others, on the smaller side, great switches, and it's wireless. And all of that for around $110. Any more expensive options out there? This one sits right in the middle with some pretty cool features. In my opinion, it's definitely worth the price. The customization with the different shells and the button spaces are definitely unique to this mouse, and I haven't really seen it on any other mice out there, to be honest. In my opinion, it's definitely worth that $110 price tag, and I'm going to be keeping this as my main mouse for the foreseeable future. I will have links below if you're interested in pricing, or if you want to have a go at customizing your own mouse on the website, you can do that with the 3D model thing on their website. But that's about it. That's the SYMM 2 from PWNAGE, and I'll see you guys in the next one.